It's Friday, August 16th. I just started the morning with a snorkeling and freediving session in Honolulu Bay. Now I'm just getting the boat prepped up to sail over to Oahu with potentially a stop over on Molokai. Just stowed away and both sails are up. The water's still relatively flat, but I can see the breakers, the whitecaps out there. I mean, the wind's picking up pretty good. We're on a broad reach, heading over towards Molokai. We've got the wind vane set up and steering for us now, and it's keeping the course pretty well. We're at about 130 degrees to the wind. So since the boat's taking care of itself right now, I figured I'd answer a few questions about my sailing background people were asking. I learned to sail when I was about 15 at a sailing camp in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. I'm originally from North Carolina, but I spent a couple of summers up there learning to sail on 420 dinghies with my brother. And we had a ton of fun on those things, just pushing them to the edge and flipping over sometimes. After that, I didn't really do any more sailing until probably around 2013. I had moved out to LA for work with Disney Imagineering, and I was kind of like itching to get back out on the water, and I kept seeing these super cheap boats on Craigslist. So I ended up picking up a Windrose 22. I got the thing for $700, and then I found the old two-stroke outboard. I learned a lot about fixing outboards. The boat itself had a weighted swing keel, and I kind of just learned how to sail that by trial and error. I mean, moving up from dinghies to those type of boats, it's all kind of the same thing. I made a bunch of mistakes, but I never got in too much trouble. I sailed that thing pretty much every weekend for almost 3 years, you know, starting just going inside the break wall and then pushing further and further. And I did a few trips to Catalina and Santa Barbara Island. I had a ton of fun. I learned a lot on that boat. It's a lot about like kind of boat maintenance and projects and stuff and what you can and can't do. When I had that boat, a lot of times it was hard to get friends to come out with me on short notice when the weather was good. Or I had a girlfriend at the time, and sometimes she would go, but she wasn't always down to do the bigger trips. So I kind of just learned to single-hand it, kind of just out of necessity. And sooner or later, I really started liking like solo sailing, just kind of in itself. And I was always doing a ton of research about, you know, self-steering and you know, kind of trying to improve my seamanship at the time. Ultimately, I ended up selling that boat, and then I didn't have a boat for a while. I got a Hobie 14 with a friend, and we were planning on sailing that thing to the Channel Islands and like kind of camping out on it. But unfortunately, we ended up flipping the boat too many times, and maybe like the third time we had it out, and we ended up kind of destroying it. So that never really came to fruition, but we had a bunch of fun on that boat too. Man, those things are so fast. Then somewhere along the lines, I decided I really wanted to do a circumnavigation, but I still had never really done any really big passages. I think the longest I did was maybe like a 4-day Channel Island trip at the time. So I figured maybe it'd be good to, maybe Hawaii would be kind of doable, and I could do that, and maybe I didn't need quite as big of a boat to do that in. So I picked this thing up about a year ago, and I moved out of my apartment and started living on the boat just to save money. And I was able to put all my rent money into, you know, projects on the boat and saving some money for this trip. Over that time, I did a bunch of projects on the boat, and I just sailed this thing really hard and tried to build up my skills. I did a bunch of trips around this Channel Islands. I did like a week-long trip out just around the islands and anchored, and, you know, just a bunch of sailing, figuring out the shortcomings of the boat and what I needed to do to get it ready. And then eventually I realized I really needed to leave by early May if I was going to beat hurricane season. So it was kind of scary. I had to make that kind of commitment and give my 2 weeks notice at my job. And it suddenly became really real that I was actually going to do this. So I spent the next 2 weeks just getting the boat really prepared, and then I spent one more week doing like a shakedown cruise, just kind of going out with the boat all fully loaded, and that went really well. So I just decided to go for it. Kind of picking up a little bit. Ooh. Yeah, surfing us along pretty well. Anyway, the trip went really well. It's been one of the most proudest accomplishments I've done in my life. It was really amazing. There was a little bit of everything, you know. And then now I'm here. I've just been loving sailing around these islands. I did Big Island, Maui, Molokai, Lanai. Now I'm on my way to Oahu and Kauai next. I think it'd be a shame to sail all the way to Hawaii and not really like cruise around these islands. I'm just so grateful to have this like time off. So I quit my job, you know, so I've got the time to do it now. And I'm learning a whole lot about, you know, anchoring and these, you know, the channels out here. It's all a little bit different, you know, than Southern California and other places around the world. So it's just been a really great learning experience, and getting to sail, you know, so frequently, I feel like it's making me a much better sailor. And I think I got to keep going, you know. I'm not sure if I have enough money to go straight on with the circumnavigation, but it's looking like it might be doable as long as I keep everything real, you know, real small and simple. I do think I want to get a bigger boat, like I mentioned in a previous video, but not too much bigger. I think simple is the way to go. You see a lot of people, you know, preparing for like multiple years and putting like tons and tons of money. I mean, I bought this boat for $2,500, and I probably put between $10,000 and $15,000 in it, which is really not bad at all, because like that was basically my rent for a year. So obviously sailing across an ocean in a boat this small, it's pretty dangerous. But you know, life is dangerous. Like driving in a car is dangerous. You just gotta manage the risks and decide what's worthwhile for yourself. If you can manage the risks and decide what your tolerance it's a pretty big wave is, I think it can be a worthwhile thing to do, but you know, certainly not for everybody. But if you're interested in doing it, definitely do your research and just kind of know what you're getting yourself into. We're going directly downwind now, so I'm going to go ahead and put the Genoa out on a whisker pole. Oh, that just got us a ton of speed. Yeah. Got a great view of Molokai up here. Considering going and anchoring up at the Kaunakakai harbor, it's about 10 miles away. It looks like we might just be able to make it there before dark, which would be nice if I'm going to do it. So I think I'm going to go ahead and start heading more towards the coast of Molokai. Hopefully it doesn't shadow our wind. I mean, although it's pretty strong, I don't think we need to worry about that too much. If not, we'll just skip on over and keep going to Oahu, or maybe even Lanai. It could probably swing over. It's just over there. But if I do this, I'd like to do it in the day, because there's some like kind of a narrow entrance with reefs on either side. But it would be cool to get to see one extra harbor I haven't made it to yet. Sailing right up toward Kaunakakai, just in time for sunset. Looks like it should be a good spot to drop an anchor. There's the harbor up here. I see some big breaking waves on either side. Gotta be careful to stay in the channel. Looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boats. I hope there's enough room for me. I put the motor on because like the wind, I don't know, it's weird. It's like started shifting. It's coming like offshore now. Such a beautiful sky behind me though. Coming past the loading dock, the wharf. Looks like these boats are actually on moorings, maybe, and not anchor. I think I'm just gonna anchor up here. Maybe just past this near this platform. I guess there's some slips over there. Hey, maybe those are bathrooms. Okay, I just anchored in about 12 feet of water, and I let out 40 feet of road. It's nice and quiet here, very calm. A little bit of a breeze, which is nice, but there's no waves at all. It's dead flat. I'm right near this barge, so I suppose this wharf. So if a barge comes in, I suppose I'll make some ruckus. But I think it's Friday night, so maybe they won't come in over the weekend. Right off of this boat ramp here, and the bottom felt like mud, so I feel like it's gonna hold pretty well. It shouldn't be too much of a hassle to get up in the morning. Go ahead and take the dinghy ashore. At least get it blown up for tomorrow, because it's only 7:30. Some people comment on my choice of dinghy, but I mean, you can't really beat this for being small and lightweight, and takes up hardly any room, and it fills up with air pretty quickly. As long as you come to terms with you might get a little bit wet. I mean, it's Hawaii, the water's pretty warm. It's not that bad. For some reason my electric pump died, and then the one I bought to replace it the other day, it seems to maybe draw too much current from my battery, and it won't work either. So it looks like I gotta resort to the manual one. I'll get my exercise at least. I lock my dinghy up with a bike lock whenever I go ashore. Oh, sweet. Found a cheeseburger place. It's kind of like In-N-Out, but I think it was even better. Can't comment on the fries though. Wow, gas is $5.04 a gallon. It's nice having an electric motor. I just walked around the entire town. It seems like a nice little spot to stop. Maybe even for a day or two if you need to resupply. As long as you don't need to get fuel, that would be kind of inconvenient and expensive here. I think now I'm gonna go ahead and then get a better light and go back to the boat and see if I can get this video posted tonight. Got pretty good internet here.